Hello, welcome to today's broadcast. This is part 4 of our 4-part transformation series. And today I'm really excited to speak to 2 individuals from HIP Realty. Today we have Tammie Slay and Jammi. I'm sorry, Jammi, what's your last name?
Finlayson.
Okay. So I have Tammie and Jammi on with me today. So Jammi, why don't you tell us a little bit about Tammie, and Tammie, you tell us a little bit about Jammi, just as a brief intro.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. So this is Tammie Slay. She's a broker owner of HIP Realty Group and been in the business for a long time and just a real powerhouse agent.
Perfect.
Okay.
And Tammie, tell us who Jammi is.
All right, Jammi is one of my amazing, if I can't say because other people might listen, but she may be my best sales partner on the team. So she's an amazing lady. She does a lot for the team outside of even her position within a sales partner. Known her for a long time as well, and grateful she decided to be a part of my team and come join me in this business. She's a fabulous lady. She's a rock star. She's energetic. She's influential, and you'll see. You'll get to know her through this.
Awesome. Okay, so one of the reasons why I was so excited to talk to you today, Tammie, is because you've been in the business for 13 years-ish, something like that. And you have had your own brokerage for about a year and a half, but you have a really interesting story about your brokerage and about relaunching your brokerage. So why don't you just take it from the top for us? Tell us a little bit about the last 18 months of your life.
All righty. It's been a lot of fun. So I have been in the business for just a little over 13 years. And about 2 years ago, I was approached by my previous broker who was moving out of state, and he offered to sell me the business and said, if you'd like to take over, I can sell you the business, and then you would be the broker of the company. So I did that, and I bought that business. And shortly after that, I started taking more business courses and had a conversation with someone about core values. And we didn't have any core values in that previous company. And so through the development of deciding what our core values were, we decided that we were no longer going to be the previous company name, that we're going to launch a brand new company with a brand new name based upon our core values. And how that came about was the values of honor, integrity, perseverance, and then we had happening after that. So HIP was just born out of honor, integrity, and perseverance. And we're kind of a happening group of ladies that we like to think, or ladies that we like to think of. And so HIP Realty Group was born. And we officially launched it January 1st of 2018. And through that, we started just with very small people. Now we have 8. So we have 8 on our team. Whereas about 2 years ago, it was just me.
Yeah. Just you. And then, so when you launched the new brokerage, how many, well, let's just start with taking over the brokerage from your previous broker owner. How many agents were at the brokerage at that time?
When he left, there were 6.
Okay.
And by the time I made the decision that I would be staying on, the others had already been out and interviewed with other brokers. And so they had already left by the time I said, yes, I'll buy it. So when I bought it, and it had always been a boutique brokerage. And so by the time I bought it, there was really just Pines and Supra. That's about it. Not much else.
So what?
So just me.
Yeah. So why did you want to start your own brokerage rather than move somewhere else and start up with another broker owner somewhere?
Well, I wanted to be the boss. Does that make me sound bad?
No.
Even in the position that I was in before, I was alone. Even though I was technically a broker agent, I didn't report to anybody. He was a very hands-off broker and amazing man, but nothing where I felt like I had an overhead always, helicopter. I went and interviewed with other companies and other teams. They wanted to put me in a position where I would prove myself to them. And I felt I was above and beyond that. And they saw my client, or they knew of my number of client base and my number of sales. And they really wanted that. And I wasn't quite as convinced with their way of working their business that it would be best for my clients.
That makes a lot of sense. So then, how did you then go about, you said you started doing some business coaching. Who did you start coaching with?
I started coaching with Workman Success Systems.
Okay. And that started you down the path of the first thing you mentioned was your core values. Is that where you started?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long did that process take? I'm just totally curious here.
We started with Workman in, I think, middle October of 2017. And by the time January 1st happened, we had our core values in place. We had our mission statement. We had our taglines. We had our business structure, because I had 2 agents with me, Jammi and one other at that time with that previous brokerage that I had recruited in. And they were set up on a broker agent kind of commission structure and business structure. And we changed to a team setting. So it went from middle of October to January 1st. It was a busy time. But
wow.
Between that time period, we came up with core values and decided that we're going to relaunch a whole new company with a whole new name, a whole new business model, new marketing plan, everything.
Wow. So that was a lot of work, but it must have been exciting at the same time.
Very exciting. Yeah.
So when you're coming up with these plans for your new brokerage, I mean, I know we always want to stay positive when we're thinking about the future, but how much of what you came up with in your core values and your business plan was as a result of things that you saw other people do as mistakes, things that you didn't want to do? Did that play into it, or?
It did a little bit, especially prior to that, when I went and interviewed with other teams and other companies and got more insight into the way they were running their companies. I saw a lot that I didn't want to do. We're very focused on first impression. So everything is built around our first impression. Our marketing pieces are built around first impression. Our onboarding is built around first impressions. Our recruiting is built around first impressions. Our listing presentations, everything is built around when they are experienced HIP Realty in any kind of experience, whether that be a postcard all the way to seeing us in person. What is that experience like? I take it very importantly, the importance of what experience is a seller going to receive when we market their home. They need to get that from the very beginning. So whatever our marketing is to convert sellers, it's the same image as the same layout that we would use when we market them. So they should be approached in the different marketing aspects or different marketing piece. I'm probably not saying this right, but the different marketing than what we would use when we list the property. Same with the buyer. If we're out there trying to convert buyers and recruit buyers for our company, the experience that they're going to get with that, it's laid up from the very beginning. Everything is really from first impressions. I wasn't very excited with first impressions that I saw within other teams and with other companies. It was very similar. There was a lot of copycatting. I didn't see any pieces that were different and unique to anyone that I interviewed with. It's a long answer for one question.
Well, so what is it that makes you different? This is a question for both of you. What are you most proud of that makes you different?
I want to hear Jammi's answer on that. I want to put her on the spot.
I think that what makes us different is just that what we exude out to people, what we put out there. We don't, if you get a postcard from us, it is not, we're not in suits. We don't have our arms crossed. We're not being in front of even a house necessarily. You see our personalities come through in our marketing pieces, and those core values come through in those marketing pieces. So, just an example for Christmas, our Christmas postcard that went out, we all wore a Grinch costume. We had Grinch costumes and Christmas decorations, and that's what you saw. We weren't in suits. We weren't. So I think how we present ourselves is very different than anything else people see, and they comment on that. People comment. There's something different about HIP Realty Group, and there is, and it's not just catchy things like that. It's the service that goes beyond the transaction. There's the transactional service, but there's also the service that's outside of the transaction. It's very different.
I'm going to add to her on this, if you don't mind.
Of course.
We do a monthly postcard, and as Jamie's talking about that postcard, and there's no call to action on it, which is different than whereas other consumers would receive a postcard. It's a postcard with expectations. And I'm finding that consumers are not wanting to always have an expectation with them. So our postcards are about creating personal relationships, even if it's someone we don't know very well or a complete stranger. We want them to have an insight into our personality before we ever get in the door. So we want a connection there. And a neat story I heard recently about just that one, that Christmas one, because we were all on there in Grinch costumes, but the children in the family thought we were elves. And we hear multiple stories of how they put it on their refrigerator. It stays there all month long. And these children made up stories about each one of us on there and said what our job was with the North Pole, because we had Santa in the background. And so it's stuff like that, experiences like that you just don't normally get when you receive a Merry Christmas from, blank HIP or blank Realty Group. There's more to it. It's a conversation that happens in the home. It's a conversation they generally carry over to Facebook and share with their friends. And we now have people ask to be put on our marketing campaign rather than us just begging for people to put on them.
I like it. So one thing that strikes me about your team, because I saw you guys in Scottsdale, and when you're walking around, you're wearing T-shirts that talk about the team, and it feels very cohesive. Your core values, your mission statement, everything feels very unified, and it feels like you're living out exactly what you're saying on the T-shirt. It's not just some platitude. It really is what you believe, and it's a part of your guys' personality, both individually and as a part of a team, as a collective. So I love that about you guys. So what, you said there's 8 people on the team now. Can you tell us a little bit more about the team makeup?
It's very admin heavy.
Okay.
For a reason. I feel people that know Jamie want to be with Jamie. People that know me want to be with me. When I first started with Workman Success, one thing I said to the coach on the very first phone call was I didn't want to lose Tammie Slay. As I built something bigger than where I was at before, I didn't want to lose Tammie Slay. I didn't want to become this kind of entity in the cloud that everybody's going, who is that? And we see her name, but we don't know who she is. So we built it to be very admin heavy, to cover the things that I would say a normal team leader is still involved in, and they're not involved on the front. Whereas I want to be involved on the front. I want my agents to be involved on the front. I want us to be with our clients at the important times that they want us there. So we're very admin heavy. So we have someone on the team that does just events, and she works from she started just now working on open houses, but I would say even down to those events that you typically would work within the house. And then we have someone that works a prospecting program on the back end for us. She does everything with that. And then we have a transaction coordinator that handles things throughout the transaction. Then we have our admin, and just an office admin. And then we have something that is
Very HIP unique. Very HIP unique.
Very HIP unique. This is called HIP Gran. HIP Gran is a grandmother. She's my mother, and she is adorable. And so HIP Gran job is she hired an elderly lady who still wants to make some income. And she adopts all of our clients that are in the escrow contract period as her grandchildren. And she goes and visits them, and she takes cookies and she takes treats, and they have her number. They can call on her if they want her, but she is our client care coordinator during the escrow contract period. But we call her the HIP Gran, and she's a hoot, and she's cute, and she's little, and she's just
awesome.
She's awesome, and she loves it. So she goes and she works all month trying to decide what she's going to bake for them, but she truly ends up adopting them, and I would say she now spends more time with those grandchildren than my children.
Nice. So events, you have somebody prospecting full-time, a TC, an admin, a HIP Gran, which is your client care. And then 3 agents?
3 agents, yes.
So how much buying and selling do you do yourself?
Me, I would say right now I don't even know the last buyer I did.
You're doing all sellers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't. Hopefully, none of my buyers hear me say that I can't remember the last buyer. But it's been a while. It's been a while since I've worked on the buy side.
Got it. So you're only doing sellers 100%. Okay.
Yes.
And what's the goal for the year for your team?
The goal for the year for the team is 125 closings.
How much is that?
And to onboard 4 more buyer agents.
Wow. So
minimum.
So how are you getting that done? And by the way, what's 125? How much increase is that over last year?
That is not, don't tell Verl this. It's not quite 50%.
Okay.
It's not quite doubling.
So how are you going to do that? So we have, so, some of the people that are going to be listening to this they know all about Verl Workman and Workman Success Systems. A lot of people listening to this might just be individual agents, maybe 5 or fewer years in the industry, and they're looking at you like you're crazy. And what would you say to them? I mean, how do you increase by 50% or in the neighborhood of 50%?
It's not crazy. I'll say that. It's not crazy at all. It's breaking it down to daily habits. And it's something the Workman Success Systems has been very good at teaching me. I didn't have any of that teaching, that knowledge, that philosophy prior to this, but it's very possible when you break it down to just what are you going to do on a daily basis. And when you're breaking it down so much, especially since we're now 1 year as HIP Realty Group in this as a team of our size, that I can look back and I can tell you exactly what actions Jammi did last year that resulted in her closing. So it's really tracking everything. How many phone calls resulted in her getting a closing? So if she's wanting to double her business, then she just doubles her phone calls. If she wants to double her business, she'll double her emails. Whatever that number is per agent, I'm able to tell you this agent works best by phone calls. This agent works best by emails. This agent works best by doing these specific activities daily. And then we know how much time and how much energy they need to put into that.
Yeah, it becomes very much a formula, and it's really easy to clear as day.
It is. Clear as day.
So Jammi, tell me about your transformation then. Where were you at maybe 18 months ago, and where do you feel you're at now?
So 18 months ago, I was a brand spanking new agent.
Wow.
Literally got my license in June of 17. 2016.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I was a brand spanking new agent, and I had no idea how to get a client, how to prospect, how to any of that. And so the transformation for me has been huge. And just being able to get in and use the systems, follow the workflows, follow the task, the daily tasks, and has grown my business huge.
Oh.
Yeah, I when I put out kind of out to the world my goals for last year, there were a lot of people who said, you know, you're in your first year of real estate. You understand you're in your first year. You need to be realistic. And I said, well, I think I am realistic. What do you mean? And
She's like, Tammie told me it was.
She said I could do it. And so I just didn't let that be a roadblock. I didn't let 1 year, I didn't look and say, oh, well, I'm just a baby agent. I just said, well, that means I got to work harder. So
what was your goal, and where'd you end up?
So my goal was 4 million, and I ended at 375.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
just barely under. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were aiming for the moon, and you hit an eagle. Is that the saying?
Yeah, exactly. I did.
That's pretty awesome.
And I'm not sad about it.
Yeah. That's great. So what's your personal goal this year?
My personal goal is 8.
Wow. All right. So
yep.
So I'm very curious then, as a still new agent, even though it seems like you're a veteran doing this kind of volume, what was the most helpful, would you say, in your first, let's just talk about last year, at the beginning of last year, what were you doing that you found was the most helpful as a new agent still?
I think just not being afraid to talk to people, not being afraid to, I did have fear of picking up the phone and calling strangers.
So how did you get over that?
But I just had to set it aside. I would practice scripts. I think scripts are a huge part of that. Even if I'd made 20 phone calls with the same script yesterday, today I sat down and practiced the script before I got on the phone. And I just said, this is what I'm going to say. And I knew those scripts, and I still practice the same scripts today. And just knowing what I was going to say, being comfortable. And then I think another big portion of that was education. Just getting out there, taking classes whenever I could, reading whatever I could, reading books, and just, and then not being afraid to just put myself out there and not care what other people thought. I did crazy videos. I let my personality kind of come out through those videos, and put them out there on Facebook, and not care what, people are like, oh my word, what a ding dong.
So
nobody was calling her a ding.
No.
That's not one of your core values?
I'm going to ding dong.
They're not.
So CRM is a hot topic in our industry. Everybody's always wanting to know, what magic bullet CRM are you using, and how do you use it to just magically make all your problems go away? And so you mentioned a few minutes ago, Jamie, you mentioned Realvolve. So how long have you guys been using Realvolve?
Not even a year.
No.
Okay.
No, we started last spring.
Last spring, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
9 months-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And how many workflows do you use on a regular basis?
Oh, we got a lot of workflows in there.
Lots.
I will say, I know you're with Realvolve and all, but truly, Realvolve has been a game changer for my foundational segment in the business. It has really taken a lot off of our plate. It's almost like having a ninth team member there, that it does so much of the thinking for us. We use it on everything. We use it to keep up with birthdays. We use it to keep up with our leads. We use it to keep up with our spheres and our contacts with our spheres. We use it for onboarding. We use it for events. We use it for the open houses. We use it for the transaction management. We use it for keeping track after the transaction. It's been huge, and we had a couple of different programs prior to that we were able to condense into one and have everything within one spot rather than leaving this system to go to that system. It's been a huge part of our success.
Definitely.
Yeah, I loved this. I just kind of clicked around in your account and I saw how many workflows you guys have. And it is awesome. I mean, there's so much that you can have automated in the system. One thing I was really curious about was, because of course, automating some of the birthday follow-up, leads, staying in touch with your past clients, all of that stuff is essential. But what you're doing with agent onboarding is also really cool. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, and we had one workflow that we were using, and then we decided we needed to tweak it a lot. So you'll probably see two in there actually. But unless Carly may have deleted this anyway. So the onboarding is everything the agent needs from when we first contract with them and bring them on the team. But it takes them through, we do another buyer agent mastery program. So it tracks them through that process. It will notify me when they hit a certain point, and then I can follow up with them on their process, on their progress. I think it even goes down to ordering name tags, to remember who's going to do that, who's going to be in charge of ordering the name tags. It takes them even through live contracts. So they would become, if Jamie were a brand new agent with me today, then what the workflows does is it says, okay, pretend that you have a buyer and this is the situation with the buyer. How are you going to write that contract? And then they can do that within Realvolve and then bring it to me and almost present an offer to me as if they're presenting an offer, and I can see, did they fill it out correctly? If we're talking about a brand new agent, it's a little bit different, but someone who's been in, a couple of years and knows how to fill out the contract. But it takes them through real life scenarios before they get out there in the field. So I'm able to determine and receive the clarity where are they at really in their contract knowledge, as well as their conversion knowledge and keeping up with their clientele. So I'm able to really get a good idea as to where they're at using that workflow.
I think the other thing it does for those new agents in our team is it also immediately gets them involved in our CRM.
Yes.
Even though they're not working necessarily a transaction or an open house or any of the other workflows that we have, it has them daily checking in, going to the dashboard, seeing what their tasks are. It's starting that habit, that daily habit of being in Realvolve and seeing how it works from the minute they're hired.
Yeah.
So that's setting that habit from the get-go. They're not onboarding over here and doing all these tasks over there, and then we're saying, oh, okay, now here's something new to learn and get on. We're starting them with that on day one.
Yeah. And that's a great point, because many new agents that come to a team, they want to know they're being useful and they want something to do. And if they're left floundering, then they kind of just fizzle out. But it does give them something to do. And it even takes them through input 5 new contacts in and then reach out to them. It has a script for them to practice. So it relieves a lot of that from me being one-on-one with them right in the very beginning, for hours on days, and they can go at their speed and their understanding.
So what's the goal for you, Tammie, in terms of how much time you're going to spend over the next year working your own business versus working on recruiting agents and coaching agents? Do you have a kind of a breakdown?
Not exactly. I know as far as recruiting, I want to get 4 good agents. So likely that's going to be 6, because I imagine 2 are not going to work out just with what I require as a leader and the systems that we use. especially if they're coming from another team where they didn't have that high expectation. And so I will need to recruit 6 to know that by the end of this year, 4 are not going to work out. I'm looking at turning over, and we've been using Jamie as a little bit into listings, where she's coming with me on listing appointments, and I'm still the listing agent to these clients. But as we're moving throughout the transaction, they're hearing more and more from her. So it's creating a confidence with the client base, the existing client base, in looking to someone else and knowing that they are becoming that Tammie slave, and that Tammie slave's still there, and they can still count on that, even though I'm not physically there. I kind of am in spirit, but yeah. And it's been a good transition for that, because it's important. I don't want to lose the type of service that I've been used to giving, because they expect that type of service and that level of high service from me.
So how many hours do you guys work a week?
We don't call it work.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would say we're pretty standard, I would say full time. And I think we've been better this last year at being more intentional in our hours than what we were before. But it's still, we don't have defined hours. I'm also very understanding that I don't want that type of team. Yeah. I want us to control our schedule, but I don't want, if you call me after 5 o'clock, I'm not answering the phone. Someone is answering that phone. Someone is going to be there for you. And building the team is nice, because we've been able to kind of pass that around to who's handling what when.
But nobody's working nobody's working 80 hours.
Oh no,
but I would say consistently we're between 40 and 50 hours a week.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. I think that's ideal personally. I mean, 30 would be ideal, but.
Well, sure. I'd like to have the income and work one, but.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also know that's not realistic.
So
our families are very involved in our business. So just so you know, there are lots of times where spouses go on showings, spouses attend open houses. Their families are very involved.
That's good. So what's next then? We talked a little bit about this year. What's the future have in store for each of you then individually beyond this year?
Beyond this year, so I look forward to forming my own team, and that's within my 3-year plan. I want to have my own Jamie team and just continue to grow the HIP brand and see that flourish. Yeah.
Awesome.
And she'll do it.
I mean, are you thinking like 3 years down the road, or what's your time frame for that in your head? This is just magic wand talk, right?
Ideally, by the end of this year, I'd like to be set up to start that process.
Okay.
So in my 3rd year of real estate, I would begin to grow that team.
Wow.
So having the experience that I need, the background that I need, everything set and ready to go by the end of the year to start that process.
Love it. What about you, Tammie? What's in the future?
Well, I would like a building, because we are working at, we did have an office off-site and nobody used it. Sadly. They were all in their cars more than they were coming into the building to go into the office. So we relocated to my house, and it's getting a little crowded. So I would like a building. That's one thing. And getting Jamie going on her team. I do want to focus more on that, onboarding people who want to be team leaders and replicating the team structure with other people. So when someone comes to me, my biggest thing is progress in all areas. So I'm always talking about progress. Did we progress more today than we did yesterday? Let's reflect. It's always about progress. So I want people on the team that want to progress. I don't want someone on the team that is okay at staying still and they just want to stay here. They want to go somewhere. They want to be bigger and have dreams and have goals, and they want help in that, and I want to help them get there. So I would like to have, and she's talked to me about teams and how to get her own team going, and have it where the agents that come on are on my team, but then can become their own team. Mm. And that's why it's not called the Tammie Slay business, because I don't want to compete with my agents. When they get their own team, that's their team within Realty, and purpose it where it's not my name. I don't want to lose myself, but it's not my name, because I want people to be able, that want to be on her team, go to Jamie's team within HIP Realty Group.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's exciting that you have that foresight to start it off on that foot with that in mind. It just speaks to your core values. And I love how you can just be honest with everybody on your team and genuinely care about their future and set it up from day one, mm-hmm. that there's a path for them to stick around. You can continue to work together, but it doesn't just have to look like it does today forever. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much to both of you for joining us today and spending some time out of your busy days to share some of your transformation with us. We really appreciate it. Let me know if I can do anything to help either of you in the near future.
Thanks, Dale.
We will, Dale. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. All right. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.